Now, avenues for everybody around the world to try and get into this, and of course in 2018 it was announced not so long ago that there will be a British Talent Cup as well, so exciting stuff for the youngsters of the world. Here is the championship leader then it's Onchu. He is twin brother with Chan Onchu, who we saw on the front row earlier on. Despite the fact that they're twins, they actually look quite a lot different. One is significantly taller than the other. He is pint-sized.
He is a, well, I would have said mini Marc Marquez, but Marc Marquez was that kind of size when he was that kind of age. But just look at the confidence. I mean, he's got the camera there. He's smiling. He's giving the #1 sign. I think that's, you know, Thailand, I do not think was a fluke. Okay, qualifying didn't go exactly to plan, but I mean, you know, he's just shown he is a race winner. And Alberto Puig, he said after the race, he was going to make the rest of the grid react. They've got to react to his performance last time out.
This is number 8, Koji Harama as well, 16-year-old. This is a field, of course, for riders aged between 13 and 19. The Onshu twins, I believe, have also got into the Red Bull Rookies this year, so they're going to get plenty of track time. And we should just explain as well that the Onshu twins, who were in this championship last year, towards the end of last season, they were really starting to come on song, so it shouldn't really be a surprise. You mentioned the smiling and the happiness and everything like that. Sir Nick Harris, of course, commentary legend here with us.
He's also always smiling and happy.
He's also, yeah, always. But he was at the launch yesterday over at a hotel in Doha for these guys, and he said the camaraderie between them all is absolutely fantastic, and they are starstruck by the Moto3 riders, so that's a really good thing for them because they're here, and of course they get to watch their heroes as well.
Plus, I think, you know, one thing we've got to point out, just because they're in this cup doesn't mean they have an automatic. Oh, and here we go, we were just talking about it, we jinxed it. Deniz Onchu looks like he's stalled on the line. That is extremely frustrating for him. It looks like he will have to start now from pit lane. Now, he's got to be very, very careful because we did have in the last race, I think it was Anwar, something similar happened to him. He didn't spot the red light, went early and got a drive-through penalty. So this is something which they're going to have to be very, very careful about.
Well, he's going to make it out for the warm-up lap, but I would imagine, Dylan, that he might get pushed to the back of the grid. I'm not 100% sure.
You're absolutely right, Steve. Sorry, that was my mistake. Of course, it's when you stall on the grid that you then start from pit lane. My mistake. Well, I'm usually down in pit lane. That's why I've forgotten these things.
No, it's absolutely fine. I wasn't 100% sure myself. Well, these guys are now heading round circle. That is a talking point already because we now get to watch what Deniz Onchu can do from the back of the grid. He's got to catch these guys up. Let's take a closer look at this circuit then. Dylan, you're of course privileged and enough to be able to race around this circuit, ride around the circuit on the BMW.
Yeah, I wouldn't go as far as say race.
But you've done a couple of laps around here.
I've done a couple
more
of laps.
Than a few in the last few years. Tell us about the circuit.
It's absolutely great fun. I mean, here we're coming round turn number 7, left through turn number 8 and round 9. It's a very nice flowing part of the track. I'd say passing around there is a little bit tricky. It's great to watch on TV, but it's about getting the drive because we should now see them coming through turn number 10. You see it is a little bit tighter, but it's all in the acceleration zone there because they go into a very fast turn number 11. You see out here they'll be almost, well, these guys will be absolutely full throttle, and now into these fast right-handers through turn number 12. They peel round to the right, and yeah, it's certainly a very fast and flowing track, and these guys, being on these small bikes, they don't have a lot of horsepower. They're going to have to make sure they really keep the line as long as they can. And look at this, Deniz Onchu, he's only just coming through turn number 9. That is so unfortunate for him. Look at that, just stalled. Probably not quite enough revs there with these bikes. Look at that.
That was close. He almost got completely wiped out there. I think that was by Reed Batty from further back. That could have been really nasty.
And it looks like he had the slider come off his boot. Not a major thing, but certainly something to take into account. They're now coming round on to the home straight. Well, now the big question is, what is going to happen with Dennis Onchu? Is he going to line up at the back? Is he going to be there on time?
Well, we'll find out in just a moment. This will be a 14-lap race. Now, yesterday's race, of course, cancelled, so this is their only opportunity here this weekend to go out and pick up those points. There's no confirmation at present as to whether they'll get that race back, of course, in the further rounds to come. We can't guarantee that, but there you can see there is Dennis Onchu.
He's ahead of the safety car. That's always a good sign.
Always a good sign, but I wonder if he's been informed, if he knows that he's got to go now to the back of the grid. We'll soon find out, because here he is now coming up onto the grid. And he's whacking himself, so I'd imagine he knows exactly what the score is here. He does. He's not happy because he knows exactly what the situation is. And this is going to be interesting over the first few laps.
If there's one positive they can maybe take from that, Steve, on a track that is so green, he's got guys in front of him who are going to be exploring those corners. Just trying to put some kind of positive spin on it.
He's just checking now to find out exactly where he's got to be on the grid. There'll be some officials down there on the starting grid just to let him know. And hang on, he's pushing his bike again now into another spot. He's not 100% sure. The red flag, of course, still up at the front. Yeah,
23rd. I can just see out of the commentary box he's got his mechanic pointing him to that spot. So yes, he is last on the grid.
Green flag waves at the back, and that means that we're ready to go. So it's all eyes on the left of your screen then. Yuki Cooney on pole position, number 5. Second for Chan Onchu, number 3. And Jerry Salim, third on the grid. The lights go out. It was a really good start there from Chan Onchu. Of course, the slightly larger of the two twins, and he's got away very well indeed. Everybody got away from the line well, and already on the left of your screen in the background, number 7, Dennis Onchu, the championship leader, tried to make headway.
Look at that, already made up 5 places, but we got to say, not a very good start for pole sitter Cooney. He was dropped quite far back, and look at that, out wide. Look at that. This is fantastic, Steve. He's already made up almost 10 places.
Unbelievable. It just shows you, doesn't it, what confidence can do for you, having won both races. At the front of this one, then, as we can now see, well, it's all changed. I mean, you try and keep an eye on who's winning, who's leading in the early stages. Very difficult. Jerry Salim, one of the most experienced riders in the field at the moment, has the lead ahead of Haruki Noguchi, who's currently 3rd overall in this championship, as all of them flow through here. Keep an eye on that number 7. I don't think it'll be long before he's well inside the top 10.
No, not at all. Coming round into turn number 6, the tightest of the left-handers here, the tightest corner on the track, and a great opportunity for passing. But as you can see, they are still all over the place. Such hard charging there, with Salim still in the lead ahead of Noguchi. You do wonder, Steve, is there going to be any big group forming at the front? We know this is one of those tracks being so fast and flowing, it's maybe not that easy to break away.
It's not, of course. It's all about slipstream here. Last year we had 5 or 6 bikes that really sort of just managed to peel away from the rest of the pack, and then it was just really anyone's guess as to who was going to end up winning that race. But at the moment, Jerry Salim looks in pretty comfortable position. He knows this circuit very well. He's been in this championship for 2-3 years now, but at the moment it is number 9 then that has the advantage. Haruki Noguchi, the 15-year-old from Japan, 6th and a 3rd place for him in Thailand, and now looking to try and go one better.
Well, look at that. We do already pretty much have a group of what looks like 8 bikes just pulling out a little bit of a lead. That was very similar to what happened in Thailand as well. I think the big question is, will Dennis Onchu be able to catch up again? And here we have our first faller, the number 15 machine of Keusonti.
Yeah, unfortunately for him, he has gone down and out of the race. He finished in 4th in race 1 back in Thailand, so disappointing then for the Thai rider, the 21-year-old, out of this one. He was given special dispensation to race in this championship for this year, of course. But now at the front, it's getting pretty close as they all peel away. We've got 4 or 5 abreast across the line there. Really tough to call. And you can see there, you just pointed out on the screen, Dylan, that just coming in now, leading that second pack, is Dennis Onchu.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, what a fight back from the youngster. I mean, doing this, making a mistake like that is obviously extremely disheartening. But if you can fight back from that, that's just going to make him even more confident, isn't it?
It is indeed, and he'll be keeping a close eye on things. Now, is that Keusonti that we saw just a moment ago? Wow, he was going in there way too hard.
That looks like turn number 6, Steve, of a left-hander, pretty quick. The good thing is he is walking away. That's always the positive in these kinds of incidents.
Certainly is. That gap that was forming between the first and second pack has been bridged now already by Dennis Onchu, but at the front it is Ryusei Yamanaka, who's second overall in the championship, and at the moment this would be perfect for him. He's 14 points down on Dennis Onchu, and Onchu at the moment, well, look at him, number 7. He's already trying to have a nibble there at Lucky Hedriensa.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, with this track, you can just see Dennis Onchu. It's so important as they peel through turn number 9 and then round to the right. Now they're coming up to the passing point of turn number 10. Is he going to try and stab it up the inside? The thing is, Steve, do you push as hard as possible? I think in these early stages with the Asia Talent Cup, you've got to. You've got to show aggression, but you've also got to show skill. That's one thing Alberto Puig always talks about. He wants to see these guys be quick, but he also wants them to show maturity.
Yeah, well, we'll soon find out whether he can do it or not. Of course, he's only 13, let's not forget, so not a lot of experience there, but so far so good.
On a Repsol Honda bike with 18 then.
Exactly. We have had another faller or retirement from the race. Number 19, Sairul Sahimi, has gone out of the race, so that just leaves us then with 19 riders. At the moment, Suhaimi is still coming up on the time screens, but I think we'll only have 19 left. As we see there, Jerry Salim, who started the race well, number 4, but has just fallen back a bit, and now looks like he could fall into the clutches of Dennis Onchu. It's worth pointing out as well, Dennis Onchu is so tiny that look at the slipstream for him is going to help even more than some of the other riders who are getting quite tall already.
No, of course, I think you do have to say that, especially with these small bikes where you've got a maximum of, you'd say, around 60 horsepower. Size really can be an advantage. Of course, when we go up into the GP category, that's when it's a bit more can be more difficult. Look at the likes of Danny Pedrosa. Sometimes it's good, other times it can really go against you. As we just see Kuni just getting past the number 12 bike of Yamanaka, so this really is a Japanese battle at the front right now, but we are getting more and more bikes involved. Jerry Salim seems to have made up a little bit as they come around turn number 3 into the hard braking zone of turn number 4.
You saw there with Ryusei Yamanaka, maybe made a bit of a mistake, lost a couple of places, the number 12. Yuki Kuni then, who leads, number 5, really came on song at the end of last year, the 14-year-old, and won at his home race in Motegi. And well, by the time we got to Sepang, he really did look like a force. Dennis Onchu, fastest lap of the race. As we are now riding on board with him, he's already dispatched Lucky Hedriensia.
Absolutely incredible. And from 23rd to 6th place in just over 2 laps. I mean, that's absolutely fantastic performance, and you do wonder whether they'll be getting any signals, the guys at the front. I mean, Kuni looks like he's trying to pull out a little bit of a lead. I think if he could do that, that certainly would be something very important because, Steve, you've spoken about this a lot. In Moto3, we've spoken about this. The slipstreams here down that long straight can be so important, and also not just there but round the fast turn number 11 as well. Teams really say try not to have anyone very close behind you because they will just come sweeping past into that right-hander of turn number 12. Yeah, especially on Moto3 bikes as well, because of course those fast right-handers from 12 onwards on these bikes, I mean, you're probably looking almost flat out. Oh, I think so. It's I must admit I haven't actually seen the actual data, but if you watch the guys go through there, they are so fast. And in Moto3, they get heavily affected by strong winds here. Fortunately, right now we actually have arguably the best conditions that we've had so far since we've been here. Since Dennis Onchu has made his way up into the top 8, he's just found it a bit more difficult. Of course, that's natural. He's coming up on riders that are quicker as he goes through the field, but if he can end up on the podium here, what a result that would be for him after all of the disappointment from earlier. Now his twin brother has just gone to the front of this group. Chan Onchu is leading from Yuki Kuni as we ride now with Ryusei Yamanaka. He just left the door open there and lost a place into turn 1. And absolutely fantastic to see that we have onboard cameras in this championship as well. I think it's so important to show that yes, whilst these bikes are small, the riders are young, they are going at absolutely phenomenal speeds, especially the cornering speed. And one thing actually, whilst we're seeing this passing under the braking zone, just a little fact for the guys that are interested in the technical specs, a Moto3 bike in the World Championship has 2 brake discs at the front, so a lot more stopping power, whereas these bikes, they all have a single brake disc, so they don't have quite as much stopping power as the Moto3 bikes. And you could argue that by not having that, it also got a very good different type of training for them. Yeah, absolutely right. If you watched the final round from Sepang last year, you'd
probably question whether they had any brakes at all because they were charging into each other, and there were 4 or 5 riders that could have won that championship. One thing that is key, of course, with a series like this, Dylan, is the fact that because there are not that many rounds in the championship, you really need to try and limit the crashes from the season, because that can completely blow the championship.
Oh, absolutely. I think that's why they've got to show they need to have this cool head. And you know, when you hear about the selection events that they've got, they don't just look at the lap times. You know, they look at how the riders behave. What is their attitude like? What is their how big is their willingness to learn? It's no. So much goes into being a motorcycle racer, but it's fantastic that these guys can really show this on the world stage. As we still have Chan Onchu leading the pack.
Yes, we do. Number 3, there he is, Chan Onchu. Just had a bit of a wobble there, but we've got Denitz Onchu, of course, a bit further back, just behind his championship rival Ryusei Yamanaka, number 12. Number 4, Jerry Salim, has sort of recovered. He had a little bit of a lull on laps 2 and 3, but Jerry Salim from Indonesia, the 19-year-old, has now managed to get himself up into second. Jerry Salim, one of the taller riders in this field, as we now head down the start-finish straight, and this will give you the idea of what Slipstream can do. In the background, Denitz Onchu looks like he's about to make up another place.
Yeah, but just look at Salim there. You just said very tall. Look how much he needs to get tucked in under that screen. I mean, you look at number 9, Noguchi. He's also an extremely big rider. That's going to work. That's certainly not going to work in their favour. And you do wonder now, what is the tactic going to be? We've got this big group at the front. Now, we know that so often they think, okay, look, maybe you're not going to win this race in this lap. You might not win it with 2 laps to go, but it's, they're going to be sizing each other up. We've talked about, in particular, Denitz Onchu after the incident on the grid. Is he now struggling? Did he maybe try and use up a little bit too much energy to fight back? Or has he now said, do you know what? I'm going to sit back, relax a bit. I can keep up with these guys, and let's wait a few laps.
That's one of the great things about last year's champion, Somkiat Chantra. So many times in the first few laps, he just sat back. Oh, that was a bit of a moment there. Chantra, the Thai rider, just sat back and let himself settle. He was always within touching distance, but it wasn't until maybe the penultimate lap where he said, okay, let's go.
Yeah, but of course for that you need confidence, and for that you need to have tested out, how late can I now brake in this corner? What can I realistically do? You can't just wait until the last lap and then give it a try, so to speak. I mean, that touch that we saw there, I think that was with Australian rider Reid Batty, if I'm not mistaken. Looked between Reid Batty and Koki Suzuki. So it's good to see that the fight does really happen through all the field. We talk about keep a cool head, go fast, but of course they do also want to see a bit of fighting spirit.
They certainly do. The Onchu twins at the start of last year were sort of battling back in maybe 15th, 16th, and then really started to get through the field as the season went on, and look where they are now. Chan Onchu leads the race from number 13 there, Lucky Hedriencia, who's having a great ride. Jerry Salim just went wide a couple of corners ago, lost 2 places, and that has allowed Noguchi through.
Yeah, and Steve, I don't know, you as an ex-racer, you said one of the things is these guys, they don't have that much time out on track. They don't get to learn these tracks so much. And of course, if these bikes are unfamiliar to you, you don't race them all the time. I mean, how long can it really take? Just particularly as they have to carry so much corner speed, they can't just correct and then get on the gas, because they don't really have that much throttle there.
No, they don't have a lot of time at all, and that's one of the problems, but that's why these guys are considered so talented. I mean, they come from a massive selection talent pool, and Denitz Onchu from nowhere, blimey.
Up into 3rd place.
That's unbelievable. While we were talking there, he made up 3-4 different places. Well, I'm bored of him now. He's already dispatched of his twin brother there, number 3.
Oh, he is fighting back, though. He is fighting back. This could be a very, very tasty battle. Look at that. Out of turn, was that out of turn number 6? No, sorry, they were coming out of turn number 3. Now they're going into turn number 4. Great little passing place here. Number 13, Hendriencia back up the inside. No, didn't make it past.
Hedriencia then is at the moment fighting Noguchi out front for the race win. Chan Onchu has recovered a bit. Denitz Onchu's been pumped back to 6th place. Yuki Kuni's back in the mix again, the rider who was on pole position. I tell you what, Dylan, I thought we might see 3 or 4 pull away from this pack. It doesn't look like that at the moment.
No, not at all. I think what I said about maybe waiting for the final laps before the fight starts was completely wrong. But of course, these guys, they are now sizing each other up. They're seeing what they can do. Indonesia, they're having a bit of a go into turn number 1. And of course, they'll just be checking here, which corner am I strongest at? Where is one rider struggling? Where is one rider very strong? And that's, you know, another part of the process is just how quick can these guys not only learn how to ride a race, but how quickly can they learn to read a race?
Absolutely, it's about racecraft, not just going quick. I have to say, Indonesia, for all of his talent and energy, he's got some remarkably strange racing lines around this Qatar circuit as he makes up another place there. Lucky Hedriensia is leading this one then at the moment from Indonesia number 3. Then it's Noguchi number 9, and Indonesia, the championship leader, there in 4th.
Yeah, and I think one of the positive things is, Steve, racing lines. What we've seen so far, we've seen just a few small crashes, nothing serious, but it doesn't seem to me that the track has deteriorated massively in any kind of way, because we are really seeing them going into turns side by side, and it doesn't look like there is a big loss of grip from all the heavy rain yesterday.
There's 2 seconds covering the top 12 riders at this moment in time. We're now riding on board with Indonesia on this start-finish straight, which is over 1 kilometre long, and he's made up another place, but he's on the outside line here as a few trying to sneak up the inside of him. That wide line that he takes, that's the line I was talking about. So unusual, that the lines that Indonesia takes, but it seems to be working for him.
He seems to, yeah. I think he's just doing that because he seems to be, maybe with his weight, he's just able to also carry a little bit more corner speed around the outside. Plus, it does line you up quite nicely if you want to do the pass into turn number 2, where there you really need to be on the inside. And as they say, turn number 2, you haven't been on the left-hand side of the tyre since turn number 15, which is about 1.5 kilometres away. So, you know, again, that's one of those risky zones, but good to see that we haven't had any incidents there. As we just see, this is now the number 3, Chanon leading the field.
Yeah, well, it just goes to show you what can happen in the Idemitsu Asia Talent Cup. A moment ago, Lucky Hedriensia looked really, really comfortable out front, and he's now down in, 7th place across the line. That's what can happen in this race, and it just goes to show what your point that you made was absolutely right. You have to try and weigh yourself up and find the right position to be in the closing laps, because you need to be within touching distance here. Sometimes it's not necessarily a great thing to be leading going into the final lap here. Of course, it might sound strange, but it certainly is a fact.
I think if anything has, if the past races have taught us anything, you do not want to be leading going into that final corner. I mean, look at that. Indonesia. I mean, just the pace off the line. Okay, his weight certainly would have helped with that. Just the sheer acceleration off the line made up about 5 spaces or so. But plus, we also saw Yuki Kuni, the start from the pole man. That certainly wasn't a good start from him. Here we just get an onboard from Indonesia. I mean, look at that, absolutely breeze pass. Okay, that's certainly not just his weight. That's also absolutely fantastic clutch control.
Brilliant clutch control. It's like being on a PlayStation game here, watching this. This is unbelievable stuff from Indonesia as he made, that was 5-6 riders that he picked off just into turn 1. Now then, at the front, the twins are 1st and 2nd. It's Indonesia number 3 that leads, but not for long, because here comes his twin brother Indonesia number 7 in 3rd place there also. Do not count out Yuki Kuni. He was on pole position. It's Indonesia then from the back of the grid who leads this race for the first time.
Absolutely fantastic stuff. And this is a little bit like Thailand in race 2 in the closing stages. Both the twins very, very close. And you do have to wonder, what is Indonesia going to do? Is he going to say, look, my brother has the confidence, maybe he's a little bit faster, should he just stick behind him for a while? Or is he going to want to battle him because he knows that he's lost out a couple of times? Maybe now would be the time to conserve the tyres and just let the, little brother, shall we say, do the work.
Well, I've met a few twin riders before when it comes to motorcycle racing, and I'm
thinking... The Lows by any chance?
Yes, and I know that they wouldn't be helping each other out on circuit. Luckily, they haven't found themselves racing against each other competitively all that much. They just waved to each other a couple of corners ago there. Indonesia and Indonesia having a little wave.
Brotherly love, or...
Well, maybe off-circuit. They certainly do spend, as you would imagine with twins, a lot of time together off-circuit. I saw them both in the hotel the other day, giggling away and going up to a couple of riders, including John McPhee, and saying hello and getting selfies and stuff like that. And they're really, really happy and jovial. But as soon as that visor goes down, Well, we'll find out whether or not there's brotherly love, I'm sure, in the closing stages of this one.
I think typical riders, you could say. It's they're all very nice off track. You certainly wouldn't want to necessarily meet them on there. But we do now have Yuki Kuni. He's put himself in the middle of the battle of the brothers. Let's see what is going to happen. The group has now tightened back up again, all the way down to number 9, Noguchi. It had spread out a little bit in the lap beforehand. Steve, you do wonder, maybe a couple of guys had just said, okay, let's try and pull away. They didn't seem to manage it. It's a case of they've given it a try. Maybe now comes a couple of laps of a bit of a respite, and then we might see it again pick up.
Here we go then on to this start-finish straight. Denitson Chu has a little look over his shoulder. I'm not quite sure what he was expecting to see there. They certainly haven't dropped.
He's not last anymore, yeah.
And across the line they go. Denitson Chu has a cheeky look over to his twin brother. Coming through, though, to lead this race there, number 5, Yuki Kuni. Ryusei Yamanaka, number 12, is now in the mix as well, as he goes up to 3rd ahead of Denitson Chu. So it is Chanon Chu, number 3, who's been dropped to 2nd place. So Kuni, Chanon Chu, Ryusei Yamanaka, and Denitson Chu.
Yeah, and just behind there we have Jerry Salim in 5th place. Can he hang on to that battle at the front? Quite interesting when you look at the Onshus. If you do want to make a little bit of a comparison in terms of body size, just look in the braking zones how much further Chan can actually sit up. Now people might think just because Denitz is smaller he might have an advantage, but of course one of the positive things about being a little bit bigger is you do end up with more drag, which can also help you slow the bike down that little bit earlier.
The great news is when they take the helmets off, not only the size difference, but of course Chanon Chu has long hair, Denitson Chu has very short hair as well.
Trust you to talk about hairstyles. Yeah.
Sorry. I had to bring it up. 6 laps to go.
Such a shame we don't have a webcam in here.
We are on board now with Ryusei Yamanaka. Thanks for that, Dylan. Yuki Kuni also looking aggressive in this one. Funnily enough, between the Chan and Denitson Chu, Denitz last year was very much in the shadow of his brother Chan. Chan was the rider who looked to be making the headway. He finished 2nd in the Sepang finale as well, but Denitson Chu, over the winter, something has happened and clicked, and all of a sudden now he is the firm favourite.
I think sometimes you do just need that, Steve. Like you say, maybe it's that confidence in the front tyre, maybe it's that confidence in the rear tyre, but there we just saw a perfect example of slipstreaming going round that fast left-hander, turn number 11. You just saw Chan Onshu just came out, pulled out to the right, and then braking hard into turn number 12. I'm not sure if we're going to see that here. Look at this battle. Look at that. You slipstream right behind here. I mean, if you think MotoGP are even up to 250 Ks at this point, they make it look so easy, but just look at that corner speed that they're carrying through there. You're absolutely right, Steve. I mean, that is with the throttle absolutely pinned. Yeah,
brilliant stuff there. It sounded like he just maybe dropped it down 1 gear and then kept the throttle absolutely flat out. So 5 laps to go now. We're on board with Ryusei Yamanaka. He's just been slipstreamed out of it here as they now go into turn 1. Can he manage to find a way through? Just up ahead of him there, you can see the long hair locks of Chanon Chu. Sorry to keep on going on about hair, but it's something that you can spot.
Of course. Now, it does help when all the bikes are the same colour. Of course, you always do look for these distinguishing marks, as we now have. That was Kuni just up the inside of turn number 3. Turn number 3, great fun, that corner.
One of the good things that we've seen over the last couple of years in the Idemitsu Asia Talent Cup is the amount of respect for a group of young riders that they actually show for each other on circuit. That kind of all went out the window in the final round last year in Sepang, but generally speaking, there's not really too many harsh moves going on.
I think they also know this is something which is going to help them for the future. They know that if they were to be overly aggressive, okay, they might win a race, but that might not necessarily look very good on their CV. And to be honest, I wouldn't want to be there when Alberto Puig gives them a talking to after the race. It's he is an extremely nice and extremely interesting guy, but he is completely black and white. Do this, don't do that.
Yeah, absolutely. One of the greatest guys that you can talk to. Very funny as well. Really, really down to earth, but a hard task master, that is for sure.
And now it looks like just at the front, looks like Chan Onshu. Is he trying to pull out that little bit of a lead? He's just opened up a tiny little gap. It can often look a little bit deceptive on screen. So let's have a look. His brother's now down in 4th place. We have the 2 Japanese riders, Yamanaka and Kuni, sandwiched right in between them. Just behind them on the number 13 bike, we have Hendriancia just, you know, is this battle really going to come down to the drag out of the final corner, Steve? At the moment, it's looking like it. I mean, look how big that group is.
Well, like you say, the gap at the front there, what is it, 2-3 tenths? I mean, in Asia Talent Cup terms, that's like half a mile. It's just about now, on this start-finish straight, if he's not slipstreamed out of this and then he can put together the perfect lap where he doesn't make mistakes, that could be the difference.
Well, let's take a look. So Chan On-Chu had a small advantage coming out of the final turn. And look at that, he just crossed ahead of his younger brother, but look how far. This was, Idemitsu On-Chu came out of that corner in 4th, and he almost pipped his brother. So I think now Idemitsu will be saying, okay, if I'm in 3rd, technically, I should have this one.
Yeah, absolutely, and Ryusei Yamanaka has gone to the front of the race. Of course, at the same time, Chan On-Chu will be thinking, well, I now know that if I can build up maybe a couple of tenths going into the last corner, I might just have this 1-1, but he's not going to know. He's not going to be looking over his shoulder the entire time. Tricky one to navigate this. It's Ryusei Yamanaka that has the lead at the moment. Chan On-Chu already looking aggressive in 2nd place there, looking to find a way back through to the lead again. Yeah,
you do wonder now whether Chan On-Chu will think, do you know what, in this lap, I'm not going to go in there first. I want to see exactly what kind of advantage I could get. But then again, it's so easy for us, Steve, to talk about this, to analyse. When you're actually on the bike going full whack and you're thinking, all I want to do is win. I mean, it must be so difficult, especially at that young age, to think about tactics.
Absolutely. It was. It's a real struggle sometimes because you might have game plans go out of the window. When you're in a contest like this, there's what, 9 bikes here in this battle for the lead. Any sort of pre-race plan that you have had is completely gone. You might as well just throw it out. It is now just all about individually, each rider, what they think. They've got to try and weigh it up, as you say. Here is Chan On-Chu. Chan On-Chu here is doing a great job of just finding out where on the circuit, if I'm not in the right position at the right time, where can I make a move?
No, exactly, and it does seem to be that Chan On-Chu's favourite turn seems to be that turn number 11. You see, he's so comfortable in the slipstream. He just showed Yamanaka his front wheel, but then said, you know what, I'm not going to go past you into turn number 12. I'm just showing you that I can.
Absolutely. Unfortunately for him, he's just lost a bit of time on Yamanaka out front. Yuki Kuni there ran wide, almost off track limits. Idemitsu On-Chu still sitting there in 4th place. I can't imagine he'll stay quiet for long.
No, plus also here, we haven't spoken much about him. Azrai Anwar, the number 20 machine. I mean, he's 6th in the championship. He actually came 2nd in the first race in Thailand, and had it not been for his ride-through in the 2nd race, you never know. He could be a lot higher up, and he is just there. Okay, he is down in 8th place, but you know, there are still 3 laps to go. We are seeing how close these guys are. You do wonder whether he might spring some kind of surprise.
Yeah, well, it's a very good point, well made there. And you are, of course, because he's not in the championship mix in the top 3 at the moment, it's easy to forget that, of course, he was battling up at the front and at the sharp end. Just getting done on the brakes a bit there, Idemitsu On-Chu into turn 1, but he's now back into the top 3. It's Chan On-Chu, his twin brother, that's got to the front, and Idemitsu On-Chu is wasting little time in trying to follow him as he goes up the inside there. Neatly done, up ahead of Yuki Kuni.
Yeah, through turn number 4, one of the favourite passing places here. Down into turn number 6 they come. This will be the hardest place on the brakes. You can even see, even on those small bikes, they're getting their legs out on the side, just getting that little bit of stability, moving the centre of gravity of the machine. It just shows just how quick these things are, and just how much these riding techniques from all different kinds of bike disciplines come in and help these guys.
Of course, Turkey delighted that they've got a couple of youngsters coming through the ranks at this moment in time. We don't have a Turkish rider in Grand Prix level. We do have the likes of Kenan Sofwoglu, of course, multi-World Supersport champion, and Toprak Razgatioglu in World Superbike Championship, making his way up through the Superstock classes as well. But we'll just have to wait and see. These guys really do look like the real deal. What's going to happen then? We've got 2.5 laps remaining here in the first race of the Idemitsu Asia Talent Cup. It is Chan On-Chu and his twin brother Idemitsu in 1st and 2nd.
Yeah, and look at Yamanaka. He's dropped right down to 5th place, and he was leading when we crossed the finish line the last time.
Well, that just goes to show you that anything could happen. You could probably say that the top 5 or 6 here at the moment look the most likely to take the victory.
They look the most likely, Steve, but I'm looking at the second part of that top group. You have Noguchi up there, you've got Salim, you've got Anwar. They look almost like a little bit of a smoother snake right behind them, and you do wonder what those guys are thinking. We are now coming into the penultimate lap, and I do think that now we are going to see a few fireworks, because do you know what? They cannot just wait until the last lap. I honestly think this will be two very, very exciting rounds. One
thing is for sure about that second pack just behind the leading bunch here, they won't want to be hanging around much longer than this. It's now or never for them, because you do not want to be 7th or 8th going into this final lap. Now then, we are on board with Denits Onchu, looking back at Yuki Cooney and Chan Onchu as well, so the advantage that Denits had coming into turn 1 has all but gone.
Yeah, look at that, no moves being made. They're still being a little bit cautious. Maybe they don't want to do it too early, but no, look at this. Chan Onchu past Cooney, so it is the Turkish double up at the front again. At the back, not much movement just yet.
No, this could be quite a fascinating final lap. Noguchi started to make some movement now. He's made up a couple of places. He's gone past Yamanaka, and he's also gone past Jerry Salim. Can Salim have a say in this one as well, as the two twins continue to lead this? Denits Onchu from the back of the grid, remember, and Chan Onchu in second place. So Denits on board with now the race leader, the championship leader, 50 from 50 in terms of points so far in 2017.
I mean, considering that yesterday's race was cancelled, you imagine if he could go away with the win here, I mean, that would be an absolutely, well, fantastic position for him. He'd be in such a strong position for the rest of the championship. And you do wonder now, is he thinking, right, I can maybe pull out a little bit of a lead? Has he just been conserving a little something?
Well, it's not just the fact that he'd be delighted with 75 points from 3 races, but also psychologically, what would that do to the rest of the field? Going into the rest of the season, we'll find out. Are we going to see a proper ding-dong here between the twins going into the final lap? We are not far away from finding out.
Into the final corner now and on to the main straight. Keep an eye out on the finish line. Who is going to get there first? And this will be very, very telling. Can the bigger of the Onchus slipstream past his slightly smaller brother as he pulls out? Will we get to see the finish line? Do you know what? I didn't see that there, but
Chan Onchu just got it across the line.
He just got it. Look, yeah. So look at that. You really do not, even being that much smaller, you do not want to be leading into that final turn.
And Denits Onchu was dropped back to 5th place.
And he's looking back again.
Why?
You're just losing. You're just losing time.
I never understood why riders do it at this level on these bikes. You are losing time.
Not in the final lap. I mean, they know they've got people behind them. It's, oh dear, I wouldn't want to be Alberto facing Alberto after this.
Well, at the front, Yamanaka, what a move that was from the number 12. He saw a little gap and he barged his way through. And the Onchu brothers here at the moment are not inside the top 3, having got across the line in first and second. Ryosei Yamanaka leads it. The man that was on pole, Yuki Cooney, there is in second place. So drama here in the closing station. Denits Onchu had some problems there. It's almost like he missed a gear or something and just dropped back. He looks like he might be out of contention to win this now.
God, that is certainly not what you want on this final lap. I mean, we have seen a great fight back from him, but now the rest of the field is in last lap mode. They really are charging. I think that would be an absolutely massive challenge for the young Turkish rider. And look at that, Yamanaka. He is looking strong. Cooney just behind him. What can Cooney do as they now come out? Can he get him in this slipstream around turn number 11? We've seen passing here before. He looks in a good position.
Chan Onchu then trying to get himself up onto that podium. There wasn't a gap there. Denits Onchu's leading the second pack, but he doesn't look anywhere near close enough to really pounce on these guys, unless it is the most unbelievable drag on the line. Yamanaka leads it at the moment, and this would change the complexion of the championship completely if it stays like this. He sat up there on the exit.
And look at that, Cooney passed in the penultimate turn. You do wonder, is that the right thing to do? Can he pull out enough of a lead?
Denits Onchu's coming back into the frame. That would be unbelievable if he's able to pull this off.
So he's in 5th place right now. They're coming onto the main straight. It's Yamanaka that leads Cooney.
The checkered flag is waiting at the first race here in Qatar for the Idemitsu Asia Talent Cup. Yuki Cooney at the moment looks like he might just have this. Denits Onchu's coming through, but I don't know if they've got enough for him. Yamanaka!
It's Yamanaka!
It's Cooney!
It's Cooney!
Cooney's got it! Brilliantly led into the last corner, out of the last corner, and by 9 thousandths of a second, he managed to take the win ahead of Ryosei Yamanaka, and we have an all-Japanese podium, because in 3rd place is number 9, Haruki Noguchi.
Wow. Steve, I did not expect that. I must admit, I've got to take it back. I said numerous times, you do not want to lead into that final corner, but that was brave from Cooney. I mean, he must have known something we didn't.
Well, I agree with you. I would have never wanted to have led going into that. And I wonder whether Yamanaka almost led him through because he didn't want to lead. And it's backfired.
Possibly. Absolutely. And you do wonder, what are the on-shoes thinking now? I mean, sitting up, going into that final corner, you do wonder, is that a lack of concentration? What was he trying to do? But whatever it was, the rivals, they pounced. They must have seen that as a small sign of, I don't know, weakness or insecurity?
Well, who knows? But unfortunately, neither of them will be on the podium. In fairness, we should just point out, of course, and just remind you that Dennis Onchu has come from the back of the grid.
Yes, of course.
It was just a moment that he had, in fact. It wasn't him sitting up. He almost lost a front end there, Yamanaka, so he didn't let him through.
Wow.
But then coming around into the final corner, this is bizarre, as they make their way onto the start-finish straight. Just didn't look like he could make up any of the time.
Or maybe he just pulled out a little bit too late, Steve.
Yeah.
That could be it as well. You wonder, maybe he should have been out now.
Yeah, he hesitated, didn't he?
Yep.
Hesitated there as they go across the line. What I should say is, for the championship, this will close things up. There was a 14-point gap between Dennis Onchu and Yamanaka. Well, Yamanaka's just taken 20 points. Dennis Onchu has taken 11 points, so it's going to be 5 points between them now. That really does give you a different story going into their next round.
I mean, no, absolutely. I mean, it's great to see this close fighting here, but you do wonder now, and it's as we said, Alberto Puig, that quote, I'm going to repeat it again. What I said, he said, Dennis Onchu's performance the last time out, this has to make the rest of the grid react. And do you know what, Steve? I think they've done so. I think they've all put in so much work. They know they cannot just let this young guy run away with it, get away with things, and they really took the fight to him. But let's take nothing away from Dennis, because of course, as you said, he did have to start in 23rd.
Yeah, brilliant performance, and confirmation on our screens here in the commentary box that Dennis Onchu will still take a lead into the next round. Of course, from here they go on to the Asia Road Racing Championship at Suzuka. Good opportunity for these young riders to race at a fabulous circuit there. It's a 5-point lead for Dennis Onchu over Ryusei Yamanaka, with Yuki Kuni's win lifting him up into 3rd place overall on 44. Yuki Kuni was 8th in the championship coming into today, so it shows you what that win's done for him. Noguchi not far away in 4th. There's a handful of riders there that are still in strong contention here for this championship.
No, absolutely. I'm a little bit surprised by Anwar. I would have thought that, after his performance in the first race in Thailand, the fact that he was really within this leading pack, you might have thought that he would have given it a bit of a go, at least in the penultimate lap, maybe stab it up the inside, have a bit of a look. But then again, after those 0 points in Thailand, maybe he thought, you know what, I just want to take something back from Qatar.
Yeah, absolutely. Well, here comes the race winner then. Not his first race win. Yuki Kuni was a race winner in Motegi, and on that day, he was also joined by a couple of other Japanese riders, so it's not the first time that we've had a Japanese lockout in Parc Ferme. He looks absolutely delighted with that, and he's back in the championship hunt. I imagine he'll be relieved, because Yuki Kuni was 8th and 5th in Thailand, came into this year as maybe one of the riders that people were expecting, so what a relief this will be to him.
No, absolutely. I mean, but 0.009 seconds. I mean, such a fantastic victory, and look at that, just being congratulated by Alberto Puig. Well done. And, it's always interesting to hear, it's such a shame we can't speak with Alberto right now, because he gives such insightful opinions on the race. And, often we will watch it and we'll say, this was so exciting. And then he will sometimes say, well, the pace was 0.3 seconds down on what I thought it might be.
Ryusei Yamanaka is absolutely gutted.
Oh, that's a shame. I mean, but do you know what? It is still an absolutely fantastic result. We've got to bear in mind, these are, the Asia Talent Cup. This isn't a local championship. These guys are racing on the world stage, and I mean, to come second amongst what are considered the best young talents from Asia. I know, I'm sure losing for this kind of margin is probably much more painful than losing by a bigger margin. But a shame to see. But you know what? I think he can still take a lot of heart from this performance.
Absolutely. I mean, at the end of the day, Yamanaka's now just 5 points behind in the championship, and they'll be telling him this after he's had this moment. He's young. Of course, he's not had a race win yet in the Asia Talent Cup, and he's just missed out by 9 thousandths of a second. He'll be upset with himself. Just one of those things. It's a shame to see, but that's part of racing and growing up, unfortunately.
Do you know what? You never know, Steve. Maybe in 8 years' time we'll see him win a MotoGP race, and then we'll look back at this moment and saying, you know, maybe it was this that he needed to maybe push him those extra few tenths. You know, maybe grow from these things. You know, why do we fall down? So we learn to pick ourselves back up again.
Absolutely.
I always like that saying.
Yeah, no, it's absolutely spot on, and maybe, like you say, in a few years' time we can say, can you remember that moment in Parc Fermé for Reisei Yamanaka? I cry like that when I think back to anything regarding my previous history on a motorcycle, to be honest.
When you finished second in Parc Fermé?
If I finish, just the lack of appearances in Parc Fermé is what I cry about. There is Reisei Yamanaka then, and clearly just a bit upset at the moment. But jubilation, of course, just next door to him there with the race winner Yuki Kuni. Noguchi, the other rider in Parc Fermé. He was third in Thailand. He's third again here.
Yeah, look at Hiroshi Ayama. They are just talking about that slipstream there. Probably not what Yamanaka wants to be hearing right next to him. But it's but you know what? They've got to talk about it. They've got to learn from it. I'm sure. I guarantee you, Alberto Puig will probably say to Akuni, "Well done," but. You know, maybe there was actually too much risk of you going into there. I'm sure they will analyse this afterwards and say, here are the other scenarios, here's what you maybe should have done, here's what you shouldn't have done. We've got to bear in mind they're not just there to show what they can do, they're there to learn, and they get all the help and advice that they possibly get.
That's the moment where Yamanaka lost it.
Yeah.
Unfortunately, just looked like he got on the gas slightly too early, and the front went loose. We're on board with him now.
Oh, fantastic.
And that's where he was overtaken. That was into the penultimate corner, so it had already happened there.
Yes, yeah.
And then going into the final corner, it's a shame we couldn't have the onboard with him just going into the corner before that. And he just didn't pull out in time. Wow. Cigarette paper stuff there between the two of them. Photo finish.
Just congratulating his number 5 machine there. Absolute joy for the race winner, Yuki Kuni. A fantastic day for him, a fantastic day for the championship as well. Here at the Losail International Circuit, where, Steve, I think one of the big positives as well is it stayed dry.
Absolutely, yeah. Here's the confirmation then of the results. Yuki Kuni wins it 0.09 of a second clear of Haruki Noguchi, who we shouldn't forget was under a tenth away himself in third place. Chan On-Chu there in fourth ahead of his twin brother Denitz On-Chu from the back of the grid. Anwar there ahead of Hedriencia and Salim Ardincia.
Looking further down the grid, we have Hirama in 10th, Koki Suzuki 11th, Firmancia. Then we have Reid Batty. We saw him in a few battles earlier on. Hakim Kaisaito. Then we have Arfin in 17th, Toko Tadachi, and 18th, Hasik Hamdan.
Riders that didn't finish the race, unfortunately, Takuto Suzuki, Maxi Hattori, Cyril Sahaimi, and of course our early faller, Krichaporn Kaiswanti. And the championship standings there. No surprise to see that Denitz On-Chu's still up there, but Dylan, just 5 points in it.
No, exactly. Really tightened up now. Yamanaka there with 56 points. And look at that, Kuni, he's come up 5 places into third place. Haruki Noguchi, he's dropped down a spot, but only 2 points behind Kuni. Chan On-Chu dropped a place, just 7 points behind Noguchi. Anwar, he stayed the same. I'm sure he would have wanted a little bit more. Salim also dropped down as well. And Adriancia and Hendriancia just behind.
Further down there, Kaio Sonti, of course, no points for him. He stays in 10th place. He's dropped down, he's dropped down to 10th place from 7th. Hirama there in 11th, head of Firmancia. Suzuki's dropped down a place. Reid Batty has made up a couple. And further down there, we can see Hamdan and Sato. We now wait then for the 3 riders to make their way up onto the podium.
Yeah, you do hope that that someone would have put their arm around Yamanaka just to say, look, you know, you've ridden an amazing race, you know, considering over 14 laps at such high speed to only lose by 0.009 seconds. It's heartbreak, but it's more than that, it's an amazing achievement.
Yeah, absolutely, it is. And these are moments that they'll never ever forget. And not just that, but coming into this race, he was 14 points down on Denitz On-Chu, and now he's only 5.
So there is some silver lining there on that cloud. No, absolutely. And as we said, it's the learning curve. I think that's the most important at this moment. But here is the happiest man of the day, Yuki Kuni. What a race! What a final corner! A victory well deserved. Absolutely. Camaraderie between all of these boys, pretty good. I'm not sure if Raisa Yamanaka is in a willing mood to congratulate at the moment, but I think the camaraderie will always exist. But let's face it. If you're facing off, you still got the adrenaline pumping. As this man no doubt has as well. Noguchi, third place, taking nothing away, 0.096 seconds down on the winner. Well, Raisa Yamanaka there. I bet he'll cheer up a bit when he sees that trophy. Nice looking trophy there for his cabinet. And of course, the gold one going to race winner Yuki Kuni. It's almost bigger than him. Yeah, very nice looking trophies, aren't they? Yeah, really nice. Right, that is the top three. National anthem coming up for the race winner Yuki Kuni.
So our top three.
Great stuff there, Yuki Kuni, a winner last year in Motegi at home and now a winner at Qatar as well. The championship has closed up. Moments that these three Japanese riders will never forget. The Onshu twins will be back, make no mistake about that. And just to give you an idea what's coming up next, the Asia Road Racing Championship in Suzuka comes up for the Asia Talent Cup in June. Then they head off to Sepang for the first visit with the Malaysian Superbike Championship in July. And then, of course, they'll be back with us in MotoGP for Motegi and Sepang. Dylan, I hope you've enjoyed it. It's been a pleasure having you up here in the commentary box.
No, thank you very much, Steve. Great fun. I always like commentating on fun races, especially those in the Asia Talent Cup.
Well, enjoy the highlights here, and I hope you've enjoyed the action from the Idemitsu Asia Talent Cup from Qatar. From Dylan Gray and myself, Steve Day, thanks for joining us. We'll see you next time.